Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, which is brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. And, that's such an amazing thing. And Erica Lyons Richardson, our founder, without her, this wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have had this opportunity to talk with all of y'all, and you wouldn't have had the opportunity to listen to all of these different hosts, each with their own perspective. And I feel like this is one of the greatest achievements of the year, was to start this network, and the website is amazing. If you've never been to msgsn.com, it's an amazing website with lots and lots of information, anything you could think of, and it's all been created from people with MS, for people with MS, and their caregivers or friends and family to learn about MS. And it's just totally amazing what one person with a dream could do. So thank you, Erica. God bless. So I want to move on a little bit, and today is kind of a special holiday edition. We all have different religions. Well, maybe not all of us. There's a lot of people with the same religion, but there's many different holidays. But I do want to focus on my holiday. And they're all about, to me, that is, they're all about traditions and family and laughter and loving each other and getting together and, just having a really good time. And that is still true today. The first Christmas with MS was really tough because I couldn't participate in any of it, and I was so disappointed because I was unable to participate in these traditions. And it started for me, of course, when I was a little kid, and my daddy, oh gosh, he would take me to go find the very most perfect Christmas tree. And finding this tree was an all-day adventure. We would go from one lot to the next lot to another lot, and we would look at every single tree. And after we had looked at all the trees everywhere, then we would decide which one we liked best and go back and get it. And, it was just the best day, and I would love it. It was just me and my dad, and my brother and sister didn't come, and it wasn't a family adventure. It was just the two of us. And so I really, really enjoyed doing that. And it was tradition when I was growing up. And then we'd get the tree home, and it would get in the stand and all of that. And then we would all decorate the Christmas tree, the whole family. And my grandparents they lived in Florida, and they would always come up, and they would spend I don't know how long they stayed. I think they stayed a couple of weeks. I can't really remember. But they would come up for Christmas and stay with us. And as a kid, my uncle, my mom's parents, and my mom's brother would come down, and we were all together for Christmas, and it was amazing. And the Christmas tree, the lights, the decorations, all of it, right down to picking it out, was tradition, and we always had this live tree. And this year, my grandchildren came to help decorate a live tree that I was unable to go that day to help pick it out. So that was a little disappointing. But then, here comes my grandchildren and my daughter, and we had a tree decorating party. Now, my grandchildren aren't very tall, so pretty much all of the decorations were on the bottom, which was great. I had saved some glass decorations made by my oldest son. I'm so proud of him. And he made these out of glass, and so I've got those on the top part of the tree. And it was kind of funny because for days everything was on the bottom of the tree. But they did a really great job decorating, and they had a lot of fun. And that was kind of, my old family from when I was little. I shouldn't say my old family, although we are all much older. But my childhood family. And we've kept those traditions. So when my kids were growing up, my mom and dad would come and spend the night with me. Now, they lived close by, so they only spent the night Christmas Eve. And another one of our traditions has always been that we would have a big dinner on Christmas Eve because nobody wanted to cook on Christmas Day. Now, my daddy is Italian, and they always had a lasagna for Christmas dinner. And my mom would have it pre-made, and so we would have that Christmas night. But when my children were born, I changed that to the more traditional Christmas dinner because my husband, he didn't grow up Italian at all, so and lasagna was like a foreign food to him, so he preferred the normal sort of Christmas dinners that are had here in the South. And I had to learn how to make Southern macaroni and cheese. And so I now know how to make Southern macaroni and cheese, and as soon as my arms are able, I'm going to make him some. My daughter will be cooking for us this year, but we're going to hold Christmas Eve dinner still at my house, which I think is amazing. And while my grandchildren were here this year, we wrapped their Uncle Cody's biggest present. It's huge box, and I told him I can't lift it, so we weren't going to worry about the bottom of it. And we used every single scrap left of wrapping paper and covered this humongous box with all these little scraps of paper. Now, my grandchildren are really little. One is 4 and the other one is almost 3. And the oldest one got a little tangled in the tape, and so they started just handing me the paper, and of course they would hand it to me faster than I could pull the tape off and tape it, and but I just sat on the floor and put the pieces of paper where they wanted the pieces of paper to go. I'd let them pick out the spot and everything. And they had a blast doing it, but it wasn't decorated enough. Now, this is also kind of family tradition. My dad never could really wrap a present really nice and neat, and my husband can't either. But that's okay. That didn't matter, and it was part of the fun of it. It was to see how he wrapped the presents, that he wrapped, and we would all talk about what a great job he did, and he liked using the little scraps of wrapping paper. And we've always played a lot of jokes, and so I kept up with that this year, and we have a few of those planned, and then this fancy wrapping with all the scraps, but this time it's a giant box. It's like 3 foot tall, and probably 2.5 feet wide. I don't know. It's really large though, and it's covered in all these scraps. But that just wasn't enough. So we took a strand of garland that was green and silver, and we wrapped the box that was already wrapped with wrapping paper, and we wrapped the box up and stuck that on there. But we still had more garland, so we put another strand on that was gold, and we wrapped it up. And then we still had another strand of garland, and so I convinced them that we should put it on the top because we didn't have any garland on the top of the box, and so we put it on the top. But that still wasn't enough. Christmas, and the fun of it was the surprise, the lighting, and the giving. And that's what it was for me growing up, and that's still what it is, even though how I go about doing these things has changed quite a bit. But yeah, it was so much fun, but that just wasn't enough. So here come the lights, and I have a set of lights that are a net for like putting over top of a bush. But I've pretty much cut down all the bushes, and my husband didn't want to do any decorating, so we put those nets over top of this present. And you would think that would be enough, but no, that wasn't quite enough. It needed a stocking on it too. And so the oldest one had come back with a stocking, and he stuck it on. And then I have like a little scarf that went on a teddy bear. It was a Christmas bear, and I don't know what happened to the bear, but he had the scarf in his hand, and he put the scarf on the present as well. So the fun in this one is solidly about the decorating of this present, and I enjoyed every second of it. You never know what is going to happen tomorrow. Nobody does. There's no such thing as a crystal ball. So you enjoy the day you have, and you enjoy those good memories and those good times. And, like I said, our family traditions and everything included a lot of pranks. And I remember one that hurt my feelings, but now that I am no longer a little child, I find it extremely funny. But we each, gave gifts, exchanged gifts. And my brother one year, and I think I might have been 8. Maybe I was older than that, but I don't think so. But he gave me a piece of coal for Christmas. And everybody, my uncle, my grandparents, my parents, my sister, everybody was laughing. And I got up and cried. I ran out of the room and cried. And then my brother went to his room and he brought down my real present. And, it was a prank. I was just very little and sensitive kid. I've always been a sensitive sort of person. Although MS has made me much tougher. It's given me much thicker skin. And MS just has a way of doing that. And those things aren't so important. So you just forget about them and be done with it and go on about having a good time. And so, anyways, back to holidays and traditions. These pranks have gone on through the years. And so I can't tell you this year's prank because this will first air on a Saturday, the Saturday right before Christmas. And so I don't know if anybody would tell, so I can't tell you the pranks for this year. But we have had somebody unwrap a present that was for another person, and that person unwrapped the present, and then inside that was the present for another person. And so it would go around and everybody would wrap, and everybody would open a present, and then finally at the end you would find out who it was actually for. And that was always a fun little game that we would play. And then there was disguised presents that were built out of coat hangers and cardboard and whatever else to make in weird shapes so that the person would have no way of guessing what was in it, because we always tried to guess. And then there was the presents that my grandmother would bring. And my grandmother, she was the sweetest person you would ever meet. She just never had anything bad to say about anything that I can remember. And you don't meet people like that these days. Most people love to indulge in the worst gossip ever, and that's why the news has turned to the worst things ever. And frankly, I don't even watch the news because that's just going to bring me down, or it's going to make me mad, or it's just not a healthy choice for me to watch the news. And it's not for a lot of people. They want to show you all this violence. And, I think the world was probably just as violent years and years and years ago. We just didn't have the media covering it to get the ratings and the gossip, And if you look back through history, they don't really tell you all the violence of the early settlers, but it was there, and it was a whole lot worse than what we see today. And so it's all about perspective, I guess you could say, and what you choose to remember and see. And so I choose to remember the good stuff, and I choose to see the good stuff, and I choose to ignore the bad stuff. And so anyways, these traditions and all these crazy pranks, I don't know how I got started on the news thing. As you can tell, I am all over the place. I'm so thoroughly exhausted from these children. They came, and they're babies, and they came over one day early in the morning because I needed to help my daughter out, and I wanted to help my daughter out. And she is a another beautiful, beautiful person. And so anyways, they came early one morning. They spent the night, and I waited until late in the afternoon to take them home, and we finished getting that present wrapped. It took us several hours to wrap this present, and but it was so much fun. And then but I was talking about the pranks, and we've always had them. And we've sent people on wild goose chases where they'd unwrap a clue, and then they'd find another clue to unwrap, and then another clue, and then another clue, and then another clue. And then the last clue would tell them where the real present was. And these games were a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of some of our other traditions, and everybody's got their own traditions. And that's kind of the holidays. Now, not everybody has people to come over or to hang out with for these holidays. And so I encourage you, if you're one of those people who doesn't have someone to hang out with, to give somebody a call or use Skype so that you can visit with them kind of live, even though it's through the computer screen or your telephone screen. So I encourage you to reach out to people. If you know somebody who's generally alone for Christmas, I encourage you to do the same thing and reach out to that person, or whatever holiday it is for you that you celebrate. Reach out, people, to those that you know, and especially those that you know are alone for the holidays. And say, hey, let them know that you're thinking about them. And if you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, I bet you they'll be excited to hear from you. It'll be so unexpected, and I just feel like reaching out is a good thing. And of course, we have our Twitter groups and things that you can, and there's Facebook groups, and you can reach out to people there as well. And definitely talk to someone if you're having a rough time with the holiday coming or on that day. Don't think you're alone, because you're not alone. There's a big wide group of us here for you anytime. And there's also your old friends and your family and others that you can reach out to. And who knows, it might start a whole new relationship. You never know. You never know. And the holidays, if we remember back, is about love. And that's what they're for, is to show the love in our hearts, to give that love in our hearts to other people. And in return, you'll get loved back. And it just works that way. You put a smile on your face and love in your heart, and you get smiles back, and you get love back. And it's kind of a choice that we make, because unfortunately stuff happens, and that's just life, because life is constantly in motion, and it's constantly changing, and whether we like the changes or not is kind of irrelevant. It's going to do its thing either way. So you might as well accept the change and love yourself first and always, and put a smile on your face as best you can, and show that love you have for others, especially with it being the holidays, because so many people out there don't have anybody left. You know, they're alone somewhere, you know, and that's something that kind of saddens me. So one of the traditions, I encourage you to make a new tradition, and have that new tradition be to reach out to someone that you haven't spoken to in a long time, especially if you know that they're alone for the holidays. I hope you enjoyed my stories about being little, even though I was flip-flopping all over the place. My time seems to be about up, and I'm going to try not to run over. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Enjoy it. Don't try and rush and get everything done. Keep yourself stress-free, because like I told you before, nobody's going to care or even notice whether or not you got everything swept, washed, vacuumed, because they're just not. That's not what they're there for, and that's not what's important. So don't try so hard to get every last little detail done. You'll stress yourself out, and that'll give you problems with your MS. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the holidays. I love you guys. Until next time, thank you for listening. You can find me. My name is Patty Long, and I'm at MS&It for Life. That's MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And I am on Twitter. And so if you don't have a Twitter account, they're really simple, and you can find me that way. And you can also participate in the hour-long session of #ChatMS, which is the most amazing, and I've got a lot of friends there. Penelope is just so funny. She always makes me laugh. Hey, Penelope. And thank you guys again for listening. My time is up. Bye now.